Title: My wife called me paranoid for over a year. Then I discovered she was living a double life with one of my closest friends. I never thought I'd be writing one of these posts. For years, I read stories here and wondered how people missed the signs. How could someone live with a cheating spouse and not know? How could lies continue for months or even years without being discovered? Now I know. Because when you love someone, you don't immediately assume they're betraying you. You explain away the red flags. You make excuses. You ignore the feeling in your gut because the alternative is too painful to consider. I'm 37M. My wife Rachel is 35F. Or I guess I should say, soon-to-be ex-wife. We were together for almost 12 years and married for 9. We built our entire adult lives together. We bought a house together. We adopted a dog together. We survived financial problems, family emergencies, job losses, and all the usual struggles that life throws at people. For most of our marriage, I genuinely believed we were happy. Not perfect, but happy. Looking back now, I think the marriage started dying long before I realized it. The first major change was her attitude. Rachel had always been direct. That was one of the things I originally liked about her. But over time, direct became rude. Then rude became cruel. Everything I did annoyed her. If I cooked dinner, she'd criticize it. If I forgot something at the grocery store, she'd treat it like I'd committed a crime. If I worked late, she accused me of caring more about work than our marriage. If I came home early, she'd act irritated that I was there. Nothing was ever enough. At first, I blamed stress. Her company was going through restructuring. Her father was having health problems. Life wasn't easy. I understood that. I wanted to support her. But eventually the criticism became impossible to ignore. Friends started noticing. My brother noticed. Even my mother quietly asked me one day if Rachel was okay because she seemed angry all the time. I defended her every single time. I was convinced things would improve. Then the lying started. Small lies at first. Pointless lies. The kind that made no sense. She'd tell me she was stuck in traffic. Then I'd later discover she'd been across town. She'd say she was meeting coworkers. Then tell a completely different story a few days later. Whenever I pointed out inconsistencies, she became defensive immediately. Why are you interrogating me? You never trust me. You're acting crazy. Eventually her favorite word became paranoid. Any concern I raised was paranoia. Any question was paranoia. Any observation was paranoia. After hearing it enough times, I started believing her. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was insecure. Maybe I was imagining things. Meanwhile, her phone practically became attached to her body. For years, she never cared where it was. Now it was always face down. Always locked. Always nearby. If I walked into a room, unexpectedly she'd lower the screen. If a message arrived, she'd clear the notification immediately. One night we were watching television when her phone lit up beside her. I wasn't trying to snoop. The screen simply flashed. The preview message said, "Miss you already." The sender's contact name was saved as a woman's name. Rachel grabbed the phone instantly. I asked who it was. Without missing a beat, she laughed. "Oh my God! That's Melissa. She's being dramatic again after another breakup." The explanation arrived too quickly, too smoothly. But I wanted to trust my wife. So I accepted it. That was my mistake. Over the next few months, she started staying out later and later. Work dinners, networking events, girls' nights, company functions. Every excuse sounded reasonable by itself. Together they became suspicious. One Friday she didn't get home until nearly 1 a.m. I was sitting in the living room when she walked through the door. The moment she saw me awake, she froze. Only for a second. But I saw it. Pure panic. Then it vanished. A smile appeared. A fake smile. One I'd eventually learned to hate. "Why are you still awake?" I asked where she'd been. She immediately rolled her eyes. The argument started within seconds. By the end of it, she had somehow turned herself into the victim and me into the villain. I went to bed feeling confused and guilty. Now I know that's exactly what she wanted. A week later, my entire world exploded. I was sitting at work when I received a text from an unknown number. There was no message, just a photograph. I opened it. My stomach dropped instantly. The photo showed Rachel, my wife, standing outside a restaurant, holding hands with another man. Not friendly, not professional. Intimate, comfortable, close, the way couples stand together. A second message arrived. "I think you deserve to know." That was all. No explanation. No name. Nothing else. I spent the next hour staring at my phone, trying to convince myself there had to be another explanation. There wasn't. For the first time in months, all the pieces started fitting together. The lies. The late nights. The secrecy. The arguments. The accusations. Everything suddenly made sense. That night I didn't confront her. I wanted proof. Real proof. The next day I checked our phone records. One number appeared hundreds of times. Calls. Texts. Late-night conversations. Weekend conversations. Thousands of interactions. When I looked up the number, I nearly dropped my phone. It belonged to my friend Jason. One of my closest friends. The man who stood beside me at my wedding. The man who came to barbecues at my house. The man who drank beer in my backyard and laughed with me for years. I felt physically sick. Even then I hoped there was some explanation. Maybe work. Maybe a project. Maybe something innocent. But deep down I knew. Over the next week I gathered more evidence. The restaurant in the photo wasn't near Rachel's office. It was near Jason's apartment. Several of her supposed work events never existed. One networking conference she claimed to attend had actually been canceled months earlier. Every new discovery felt like another knife in my chest. Then came the biggest shock. I discovered Rachel wasn't only cheating. She was planning to leave. One afternoon while she was in the shower, her laptop received a notification. I wasn't looking for it. It appeared on the screen automatically. An email confirmation. Apartment application. 2 applicants. Rachel and Jason. My hands were shaking. I opened it. I know some people will judge me. I don't care. My marriage was already built on lies. The email chain revealed everything. They had been together for nearly 18 months. 18 months. A year and a half. While sleeping beside me. While celebrating anniversaries. While taking vacations. While telling me she loved me. For 18 months, she had been living a second life. I barely slept that night. I couldn't eat. I couldn't think. I just sat in my car for hours trying to process what I'd learned. The next evening I confronted her. I'll never forget it. I laid the evidence on the kitchen table. Phone records. Photographs. Emails. Apartment documents. Rachel stared at everything silently. For several seconds she said nothing. Then she did something unbelievable. She laughed. Actually laughed. I remember feeling something break inside me. Not anger. Not sadness. Something deeper. The final collapse of trust. Then came the excuses. We grew apart. I wasn't happy. You weren't paying attention. I didn't mean for this to happen. Every cliché imaginable. What amazed me most was her complete lack of remorse. She seemed annoyed at being caught rather than ashamed of what she'd done. Then she revealed another truth. Jason wasn't the first affair. He was simply the longest. I honestly don't remember much after hearing that. My brain felt numb. Years of memories suddenly became unreliable. How much had been real? How much had been a lie? I couldn't tell anymore. I asked her one final question. Did you ever love me? For the first time, she looked uncomfortable. Then she said something I'll never forget. I did. At one point. At one point. 11 years reduced to 4 words. I moved out the next day. The following months were brutal. I lost 20 pounds. I struggled to sleep. I questioned everything. The betrayal from Rachel hurt. The betrayal from Jason hurt too. But what truly destroyed me was losing my sense of reality. I realized the person I thought I knew didn't actually exist. The woman I loved was partly an illusion. A character built from trust and assumptions. The real person had been hiding behind lies for years. Friends eventually learned what happened. Most sided with me immediately. Several cut Jason out of their lives entirely. One mutual friend later revealed something shocking. Apparently many people suspected something was happening. Nobody had proof. Nobody wanted to get involved. That hurt almost as much as the affair itself. Over time things slowly improved. I started therapy. I focused on my health. I reconnected with friends. I rebuilt my life piece by piece. The divorce was finalized almost a year later. Rachel moved in with Jason. Ironically, their relationship didn't last. They broke up less than 8 months after we divorced. Apparently, trust became an issue. Imagine that. A relationship built on lies eventually collapsed because neither person trusted the other. Who could have predicted such a thing? Today my life looks completely different. I'm happier, healthier, more confident. The pain hasn't completely disappeared. I don't think it ever will. But it no longer controls me. If there's one thing I've learned from this experience, it's that your instincts matter. When something feels wrong repeatedly, pay attention. Trust isn't blind obedience. Trust requires honesty. And if someone constantly calls you paranoid whenever you ask reasonable questions, there's a good chance they're trying to make you doubt yourself. For anyone reading this who suspects something is wrong in their relationship, don't ignore reality because you're afraid of what you might find. The truth hurts. But living inside a lie hurts even more. I lost my marriage. I lost one of my closest friends. I lost the future I thought I was building. But I eventually found something more important. My self-respect. And unlike them, that's something I refuse to lose again.